I don't want this beautiful game to get away from the people that it matters to, because if it suddenly comes in and it becomes that sort of league where everybody can buy whoever that they want, and financial fair play can go out the window and all this kind of stuff. I think it will take away from the magic of sort of winning it as well. What I'd love seeing today was Rashford, coming through the academy and actually being able to collect the cup. That is what United is. It's built into the community, and we want a club, that is still part of the fabric of what the fans want.
I think the price you pay of that is potential lack of investment, and if you don't take the investment, someone else will.
Yeah,
So I think this is the question, isn't it? It's like I don't want to be owned by a foreign consortium or anything. I want to be owned by someone in this country. I want to see the guy in the stands every week. I want him to be even British, so he gets the culture of the fans. He gets the whole idea of following your local club. Even
yeah,
A Mancunian would be amazing because he's from the
yeah.
from the
Ratcliffe
community.
would be a good shout. Yeah,
Yeah, but then the problem is you get left behind. And United have money to survive. If anyone has money to survive and sustain, those high revenues is United because they've been built on success and
yeah,
good off the pitch commercial, networking, they're a global club, they're huge. They've done everything the right way, you could probably argue, they've not cut really any corners with it. But then if you don't take this investment, then you are selling the soul of the club somewhat. And I don't think you can have it both. So you can't have the community, you can't have everyone happy, and then you've just got to take the lesser of two evils.
yeah. I think United want to take their time about this because it's not just a simple thing as taking the money. Um, there's got to be a bit more to that, and I think we want to see the vision as well, from the people who want to buy us, because some of them have already said they want to follow the Man City model, and try and build into the sort of community with the men's team, the women's team, the training facilities, outreach, education, all of those things. And I think that will go a long way to try and preserve what a great club we are. So yeah.
Mm.
Just do it.
Ricky
Just
and
do it.
Vijay, you both had experience of it. I was going to say, if you think it's a catch-22, because you both had experience of being bought out by rich owners,
I think for
super
City,
rich owners.
it's completely changed us, obviously with all the success. But I think with the Arabs, they are investing back in the community, and they've developed our training ground. We've got the ladies team, got the the under 12s and the younger team. So it's actually benefited in that sense. It's been like 10 years. We've got a good window of of time period, and we can see on and off the pitch the redevelopment. So I think it's been a great. And even Thaksin Shinawatra, when he took us over, he didn't do anything for the community. But when the Arabs came in, they completely changed the approach. So it's benefited both ways for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, same for Chelsea. Obviously, when Abramovich pumped in his millions, he didn't just develop the first team. He went on to develop the ladies' game, and Chelsea are one of the top clubs in women's football.
Mm.
With a manager who seems to just do it year in year out. So that's filtered through to the women's team and the academy as well. I think we all know about the Chelsea academy. I think yeah, you can argue what is it there for. I think part of it, of course, is player development that should be coming into first team, but a lot of it is there to develop players that are then sold on actually, and that's
Yeah.
how they make a lot of money as well.
Yeah. I think the points you guys make are important because you need investment to invest in the club, real investment to invest in the women's football, the community itself, create jobs, create an environment where the local people benefit, even the non-footballing people of Manchester or whichever area, that the local people should be the first people to benefit, not just fans, because the club is a part of the community and it's almost the pillar of sport. In this country, football is so big now in this country. There is no other sport that competes. But what I would love to see is the homegrown rule reviewed, because what
Yeah.
I do want is the Harry Kanes and Rashfords to still be here. But the next versions of those guys should have the same opportunity that Rashford has had, that Harry Kane's had at Spurs, because we haven't had billions yet lying around, waiting to be spent on the next world-class European star. So I think that homegrown rule is really important, and maybe they need to tweak that and give it a bit more emphasis, because what we don't want is the game in this country sort of just blocking routes to academy football ever making it to the highest level. And like I've got like Rinks has been on this show before. I think it was episode 3. Was on his little daughter. I say little daughter. She's 11 now. She's without giving too much away, she's getting into professional football now, women's football, because women's football is what men's football was a long time ago. Didn't have the money, the fans. It's a smaller beast. But the worry is that I think the Premier League has a hot potato on their hands, because whilst all this money's coming in, how do they keep that communal link active with young boys and girls that want to play for Manchester United or Arsenal or whichever club it is? And I think that's going to be the balance.
It affects the national game as well, Josh, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
When we don't get Rico Lewis's of this world, and we don't get Rashfords and the Fodens and Saka's of this world, then we're at a loss, because actually, Jude Bellingham's a classic example of losing a talent to a German league for him to be developed. Sancho's another one. And even Bellingham's brother, I think, is really good. So there's lots of these sort of examples where maybe the players have left the UK shores a bit too early, and certainly from the English Premier League, we don't benefit from that either, right? Because them playing with the best players in the best league in the world is only going to make them better and give us a chance on the national level as well. So I think Chelsea is a really interesting one, because so many academy graduates, could have maybe had a bit more blooding in terms of the first team, and who knows what kind of players we would have got out of that. So even now, I look at Conor Gallagher as an example of, if he had more game time, with a different world-class coach, where could he have got to? So it is interesting. It is interesting, and I agree with you. I think we should have at least 5, homegrown players in every team, and that should be enforced.
Yeah, I was gonna say, VJ, on Mount and Gallagher, they're probably players that look at this Chelsea situation and think, God, where do I get a year or two to really show what I can do? At Palace, Gallagher was doing it. At Chelsea, Mount's been hot and cold. There is a risk, isn't there, of some of these youngsters, Foden being the exception, that they can't keep up with these superstars coming through the door, and maybe they get lost in that process a bit with developing their own game, having so many different managers. It's a bit of a whirlwind, isn't it? As a young player, trying to sort of get your feet into a Premier League team that's challenging.
Yeah, I think if I was in their position, I would be worried. Currently at Chelsea, seem to be buying loads of players, and maybe there isn't a clear vision on what their pathway is, which may have been more clearer with the previous regime. And that shows a little bit in the contract negotiations for Mount. It's not done. It looks like it's going to get done, but until it's done, it's not done, right? So it's still up in the air. And Gallagher was 50-50 in this window, potentially going out on loan or even being sold. I mean, there was loads of interest for Gallagher, and rightly so. But he did stay, and Mount, we hope, will sign a contract. So there must be some discussions in the background that have their futures, that they're part of the plan somewhere. But yeah, I mean, I think if I was in the academy now and I'm probably looking up at the first team, I'm thinking, yeah, I ain't going to get a chance in this team, am I? And they're probably already looking to move to other clubs to make it.
Yeah, I think they're not moving abroad. Sorry, Ricky. Yeah,
I was gonna say it's happened at City. Like we say, Foden, but there's players like Lavia and Edozie. They've both gone to Southampton. They're really good players, and they've got no chance against the players that we have. So it's sad to see, but it's reality, isn't it? It's credit to Foden though to keep up with the likes of KDB and Mahrez and everyone. But yeah, it is really sad, I would say.
Yeah, it's the thing is, football is a results business, isn't it? I mean, we all know with Chelsea, Potter's only been there for a while. He's already under pressure because he's not winning games. But that's the state of football as it is right now. It is not okay not to win football matches. It is not okay not to be competing in all of the big titles and cup competitions. We just talked about United at length there, and they've come on a long journey. And finally, they've won a cup, and they're very, very happy about it, and rightly they should be. But it was not okay that they weren't doing that for the last X number of years. So you've got a balance. There's a balance somewhere, and unfortunately, the development of homegrown players is not prominent enough. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think I'll ever see Harry Kane as a Spurs fan. I'll never see a player come through the ranks and win nothing so far. Let's hope he can do one day. But become the Premier League's all-time goal scorer. I think and it's not done yet. Alan Shearer's record sits there, but for Tottenham, he beat Jimmy Greaves. He broke Jimmy Greaves' record last week, the week before, and he'll probably going to do Alan Shearer. And that will go down, and I'll probably be telling youngsters in 20 years' time that, there was this guy called Harry Kane, and he came through the ranks. And likewise, we had Wayne Rooney at Everton and came through the ranks and went on to win every trophy in that was available. He won the Champions League. Yeah, he did win the Champions League. So he won everything.
He did, yeah. 99.
He won everything. Yeah, he didn't win the World Cup. That's the only one. But that's national football. That's a different conversation. But we'll see what happens with that, guys. It's good to
Chuck John Terry in there.
John Terry, yeah. John Terry's another one. Yeah. From academy to worldwide superstar.